In this video, I'm going to talk about perspective and drawing perspectives and setting up perspectives. I've used one of these images before in my classes. They're all reasonably complex. Some are more complex than others, and I'm going to tackle probably the most complex one this morning. But there's lots of things with perspective that I find useful to reflect on. Is that there are rules of perspective. There are principles that are easy to understand and to follow, and if you follow those, the drawings will look like they sit on the site in the place. They're not wonky or skewed or whatever. And many people, when they sketch, distort perspective on purpose, sometimes extremely so. That's fine for them, but in general terms, I don't seek out those sorts of distortions. I like to try to record as accurately as I can the views of the place, and I'm not a camera, so even when I try to be accurate, there's always a degree of error, wrong lines, wrong proportions. But I've got enough perspectives to be aware of the pitfalls and the challenges. So I'll talk through some of those and some of the techniques that I use to observe a place to then construct a perspective drawing. Here are 4 images, again, of my travels. The top one here I've talked about before is in Lisbon. Lisbon's a very steep city and amazing staircases. And I found this one morning walking around looking for somewhere to draw. One of the criteria when you're trying to do urban sketching is somewhere to sit. And I didn't have my chair with me, so I sat on the staircase and I chose this view because I could sit down somewhere. This is early in the morning, probably about 8 o'clock or 8:30, or perhaps in the middle of winter. It's a bit foggy, and there were some workmen already starting on the terrace below, but in the summer this terrace is full of tables and chairs of restaurants and cafes. Here is the Leadenhall Market in London. This is one I have used before in workshops, and again it's got complex perspectives, quite a range of different shapes. It's not straightforward and requires a degree of thinking. These buildings in Porton on the harbour are quite impressive and distinctive architecture for the city. It's got the big stone heavy arches. Sometimes they're occupied by restaurants on upper levels looking down. There's outdoor dining areas under umbrellas. There's outdoor dining areas up here. And I don't know whether these were built later, but there's the tops of the buildings tend to be metal. They're very thin buildings with quite large windows. I took this photograph not thinking I would want to draw it one day, because I think the drawing will be better looking a bit from the left, so you see more of this facade than that facade, whereas you see more of that. But I guess this photo is about the transition down to what's beyond. And here's quite a pretty little late 19th century urban building in Thunderfjord, which is a coastal town a couple of hours from Oslo. And I know the town very well, having visited there many times with my wife's family. And this building turns the corner quite beautifully and has quite reasonable proportions and an interesting detail. And there's some perspective elements in this which are challenging. We have one facade which we can see more of, and one facade we can see less of. Trying to show that in perspective is always a good thing to try to do. It's framed by a building here, this tree that pushes down into the frame, and the awning through here. So there's the awning there. So there's a lot going on, let alone the activity on the ground plane. So this would be a good one to try to draw as well.